They tried to erase me from their perfect family picture, but they never saw the storm brewing inside. And when I finally unleashed it, I didn't just rattle their world. I bought their dream house right out from under them, just to watch them crumble. Look, I never thought I'd be the type to do something petty, but after everything that went down, I think I'm more than a little justified. My name's Claire, I'm 28, and I've always been the quiet one, the one who just kept to myself. I have a decent job, I'm financially stable, not rich, not poor, just comfortable. Drama? I usually run the other way. But this time, it practically kicked down my door. I'm middle child, and if you know anything about us, you know we're often the forgotten ones. My older brother, Ryan, he's always been the golden child. Handsome, athletic, the one everyone rallied around. My younger sister, Lily, she's the sweet, cute little darling. Me, I always felt like an afterthought. I never craved the spotlight, but it stings, when your parents just see you as kind of there. Everything really started falling apart when Ryan got engaged. Honestly, I was happy for him at first. He found love, that's great. But then, as if on cue, the whole thing became another one of my parents' opportunities to show off Ryan's accomplishments. The engagement party was the first major red flag. Ryan's fiancée, Sarah, is nice enough, but she's not exactly a family person. She doesn't really connect with any of us, and for some reason, everyone else was fine with that. But me? I wasn't even invited. Not a casual, come if you're free, not even a courtesy text. Nothing. The more I thought about it, the angrier I got. It was ridiculous. So, I confronted my mom. Why wasn't I invited? I'm his sister, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. She gave me that look, the one only a mother can give. Oh, sweetie, she cooed. We just thought it would be better for you to skip this one. It's all about Ryan and Sarah. We don't want to put any pressure on you. I just blinked, stunned. What pressure? It's family. She didn't say anything else, just brushed it off. That was it. That pathetic excuse. After the engagement, it was like everything I did or said became secondary to Ryan's needs. I honestly think my parents forgot I existed entirely. I'd spent my whole life trying to be the good daughter. I supported them, kept quiet when I was hurt, always available when they needed me. But after that party, something inside me just snapped. I wasn't going to be invisible anymore. I deserved better than to be an afterthought. And if they were going to treat me like that, well, maybe it was time for me to do something for myself. Fast forward a few months. Ryan and Sarah started talking about buying a house. They'd been eyeing this gorgeous 4-bedroom colonial in the suburbs for years. It was their dream house. I'd overheard them gushing about it so many times. They were getting serious about making an offer. But there was a problem. They couldn't afford it yet. Not with their jobs, student loans, and wedding expenses piling up. It was just out of their reach. But they weren't giving up. And that's where I came in. It wasn't a decision I made lightly. But after everything, I thought, why not? I'd saved a significant amount of money over the years. I could afford that house. It was within my budget, and no one else had made an offer. So I did it. I'll admit, it was petty. I bought the house. The exact one Ryan and Sarah had dreamed of for years. I can't even describe the feeling when I signed those papers. It wasn't just about owning a house. It was about finally getting something they couldn't have. For once, I was doing something for me, not for them. Part of it was pure spite, yes. But another part, I was genuinely excited. I could already picture myself moving in, decorating it just how I wanted, living my life without constantly being in someone else's shadow. The family's reaction? That's when things really spiraled. Not long after the closing, my parents called. My mom first. "Claire, what's going on?" she demanded, her voice strained. "I just heard you bought the house Ryan and Sarah were looking at. Why would you do that?" I stayed calm. Inside, satisfaction bubbled. "I bought the house because I could." I said, simply, "I like it and I want it." There was a long pause. Then she said, "But that's their dream home. You know how much they've talked about it. Why would you take that from them?" I wasn't falling for the guilt trip. I didn't take anything. It's a free market. I got there first. They should have acted sooner. She didn't like that. Claire, this is ridiculous. You've caused enough trouble. They're devastated. A few days later, Ryan called. He was furious. I expected that. But the venom in his voice? It surprised me. Claire, what is wrong with you? He yelled. That house was supposed to be ours. Why would you buy it? Are you trying to ruin everything for us? You know how much we've wanted it. My own anger flared, but I kept my voice even. It's just a house, Ryan. I didn't steal your firstborn. You should have acted faster if you wanted it. He just kept going, demanding to know why I was so cruel, why I couldn't let him have something for once. And for the first time in my life, I didn't back down. I wasn't going to apologize for making a decision that was good for me, no matter how much it hurt them. Now my phone is constantly blowing up. They're begging me to sell it back. My parents are calling me selfish, saying I'm tearing the family apart. It's exhausting. But what do they expect? It's my house now. I worked hard for it. I don't know how to feel. On one hand, I have my dream home. On the other, my family's barely speaking to me, and the guilt is starting to creep in. But I'm not backing down. Not this time. The phone calls kept coming. I ignored them at first, letting the notifications pile up. I didn't want to engage with my parents or Ryan after everything they'd said. But the guilt was a persistent little monster, gnawing at me. Their constant reminders made it hard to feel good about my decision, even though I knew deep down it was the right one for me. A week passed, and their efforts ramped up. My mom left voicemail after voicemail, each more desperate than the last. Claire, please, you don't understand, she pleaded in one. Ryan is crushed. We are a family. This is tearing us apart. Can't you just sell it back to them? Please just think about it. It's the right thing to do. I sat there, phone in hand, listening to her voice break. My heart twisted. I almost gave in. For a moment, I considered it. Maybe I was being too harsh. Maybe I could make peace, sell the house back, and everything would go back to normal. But then I remembered the engagement party. I remembered how they'd ignored me, how Ryan had acted like I didn't even matter. And I couldn't shake the feeling that they were only upset now because they were the ones being slighted. So I let go to voicemail again. Then came the real kicker. Ryan showed up at my door. I wasn't expecting him. I didn't even know how he knew where I lived. It was early Saturday morning. I just finished my coffee when I heard a knock. I opened the door. There he was, standing on my porch, arms crossed, looking ready for war. Claire, we need to talk, he said, his voice tight. I took a deep breath. This was it. The confrontation I'd been avoiding for weeks. I nodded and stepped aside, letting him in. I don't want to do this over the phone, Ryan started, pacing back and forth in my living room. You're being irrational, and I don't understand why you're doing this to us, to me, to our family. I folded my arms, trying to stay calm. I didn't do anything to you. I just made a choice for myself. I didn't steal anything. If anything, you should have acted sooner. His face reddened with frustration. It's not about acting sooner, Claire. It's about family. You're being so selfish, and I don't understand why you're punishing me like this. I wasn't sure why, but hearing him talk about family like that hit a nerve. My voice shook a little, but I couldn't let him see he was getting to me. You don't get it, Ryan. I've always been there for you. Always played the good sister, the quiet and supportive one. But this time, I'm choosing myself. For once, I'm putting me first. You didn't include me in your engagement. Didn't even ask me to be there. But you expect me to just roll over and give you what I've worked for. He stopped pacing and turned to face me, his expression softening for a moment. It's not about the house. It's about us, Claire. You're my sister. I love you, but it feels like you're going out of your way to hurt me. I let out a shaky breath. I don't want to hurt you, Ryan, but I'm tired of always being the one to take a step back so you can move forward. I've had enough of that. There was a long silence. Ryan's face was a mixture of disbelief and hurt. I don't know who you are anymore, he muttered, shaking his head. I wanted to say something, anything to make him understand. But the truth was I didn't know if I could. I didn't even know if I was making the right choice anymore. The pressure was starting to weigh on me, and the idea of losing my family over something like this was terrifying. But then I thought of how they treated me for all these years. This wasn't just about the house. It was about finally standing up for myself, about not letting them push me into a corner anymore. Finally, Ryan broke the silence. If you really cared about me, you'd give it back. I was stunned. It was like he was speaking in absolutes, like the only way I could show my love for him was to give up what was mine. That's not fair, Ryan. You don't get to decide that. This is my decision. And if you really cared about me, you wouldn't expect me to undo everything just because it's inconvenient for you. He looked at me for a long time, his eyes narrowing. It wasn't anger I saw in them. It was something worse. Disappointment. I guess I was wrong about you, he said, his voice low. I thought you were better than this. With that, he stormed out, slamming the door behind him. I stood there for a moment, frozen, the weight of his words crashing down on me. Was I really doing the wrong thing? I hadn't intended for it to get this far. I just wanted something for myself for once. But now, the silence in my apartment felt deafening. The house that had once felt like a dream now felt like a burden. Was I wrong? Was I being the villain in this story? All I had wanted was to show up for myself. I didn't have an answer. All I had was a sinking feeling that things were never going to be the same again. The phone rang again. This time it was my mom calling from a different number. I didn't recognize it, but I knew who it was. I stared at the screen for a long time, wondering if I was ready to face whatever was coming next. I wasn't. Not yet. But I couldn't avoid it forever. The next few days felt like an emotional roller coaster. The messages from my family didn't stop. They just kept piling up. My mom was relentless, and Ryan called a few more times too. Even my dad had joined in, sending texts saying he didn't understand what was going on, that I was acting out of character. But there was one message that stuck out. It was from my mom, and it was the one that really broke me. Claire, we're family. We're supposed to be there for each other. I understand that you're hurt, but this is just a house. It's not worth losing us over. Please come to your senses before it's too late. I stared at it for a long time, that one line repeating in my mind. It's just a house. Maybe that's true, I thought. Maybe it is just a house. But for me, it was so much more. It was a symbol of the years I spent being overlooked, being treated like I didn't matter. My family had never once asked how I felt, what I wanted. It was always about Ryan's milestones, my parents' expectations, their idea of what life should look like. They never considered me. Not until I made a decision that didn't fit into their perfect picture. And the more I thought about it, the more I realized I wasn't just fighting over a house. I was fighting for my own autonomy, my right to be seen, my right to choose something for myself without feeling guilty. But the guilt was still there, gnawing at me. I couldn't help but feel like a piece of me was slipping away with every argument, every confrontation. I was used to being the peacemaker, the one who kept the family together. But now I felt like I was pulling myself apart just to make a point. And as much as I told myself I was doing the right thing, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was slowly losing them all. It wasn't until the next weekend that everything truly came to a head. I had spent the entire week avoiding my family, ignoring their calls and messages. I told myself I just needed space to think, to breathe. I hadn't even realized how much I was dreading the family gathering until the night before. I hadn't been to one in so long. The last time was a holiday dinner a few months ago when Ryan had announced his engagement. My mom had insisted I help with preparations, of course, making sure everything was perfect for Ryan and his fiancée. But this time, things felt different. I knew they were going to confront me again. And deep down, I wasn't sure I was ready. But I couldn't hide forever. That Sunday, I walked into my parents' house, our usual gathering spot. The place was filled with the usual hum of chatter and laughter, the smell of freshly baked cookies wafting through the air. But as soon as I entered, the mood shifted. My parents were in the kitchen, whispering. Ryan was sitting at the dining table, arms crossed, staring at the door like he knew I would eventually show up. I felt a cold sweat prickling at the back of my neck. My heart was beating faster than usual. I wanted to turn around and leave. But I didn't. My mom was the first to approach. She smiled at me, sort of. It wasn't the warm smile I was used to, but the kind that said she was holding back something. "Claire," she said, her voice soft but strained. "I'm glad you're here. We really need to talk." I gave her a tight smile. "Yeah, I figured. What's going on?" Ryan stood up, moving toward me with that same frustrated expression he'd worn before. "Look, Claire, I get it. You're upset, but this isn't how you fix things. You're holding on to something that doesn't matter." I bit back a laugh, but it came out as more of a scoff. "It matters to me. You all just assume I'll always put you first, don't you?" Ryan didn't answer right away. He seemed to weigh his words, then said, "You're making a huge mistake. You think this is easy for me?" I snapped. "You think I don't care about you?" "I do, but it's always been about you, about what you need about your life. But when it comes to me, it's always been about what fits into your plans." There was a long silence. My mom looked torn, like she didn't know how to respond. But Ryan broke it. "Why does it always have to be this hard?" he asked, his voice thick with emotion. "Why can't we just be a family again?" "Maybe because we've never been a family," I replied, my voice quieter now. "Not really. Not the way I've always needed." Something in the way I said it hung in the air, thick and heavy. My parents exchanged looks. I could see them processing my words, trying to figure out what to do next. Just as I thought things might settle, my mom took a step forward. "Claire, please," she said, her voice pleading. "We can work this out. We can. We just need you to make it right." I shook my head, frustrated beyond words. "I'm not the one who needs to make it right, Mom. You all need to learn that I'm not here to fix your problems anymore. I'm done being the one who sacrifices everything for everyone else." But as I turned to leave, I heard her voice, quieter than before, trailing behind me. "You don't have to do this alone." The words stung, but I didn't turn back. I couldn't. And I knew at that moment I was truly ready to cut the ties. The moment I stepped out of that house, I felt the weight of the years I'd spent trying to please everyone, trying to make myself fit into a role I didn't want. The door clicked shut behind me, and I realized something. For the first time in my life, I was truly free. No more constantly adjusting. No more playing the peacekeeper. No more sacrificing myself to hold a family together that wasn't truly holding me. The phone buzzed in my pocket, but I didn't check it. Instead, I started walking down the sidewalk, not knowing exactly where I was going, but knowing I needed to get away. I needed time to clear my head, to find my own path without the constant pressure from my family. And that's when I saw it. As I rounded the corner, my gaze landed on the house. My house. The one they'd always dreamed about. The one that had been out of reach for years. The one Ryan and my parents had drooled over every time they drove past. The house that had become the symbol of their entitlement, and the very thing they thought I'd never dare to take for myself. And I didn't regret it. I thought about everything they'd said, about how it was just a house, just a mistake, how they thought I should be grateful for what little they'd given me, like some kind of afterthought. But no more. I had finally made my own choice, and it felt like a huge weight had been lifted from my shoulders. This house wasn't just bricks and mortar. It was proof that I could make decisions for myself, that I wasn't going to let them walk all over me anymore. The next few days were full of calls, messages, and guilt trips from every angle. My mom kept calling, leaving voicemail after voicemail, asking me to reconsider, begging me to sell the house back. Ryan sent a few angry texts, accusing me of ruining everything. And my dad, who I thought would take my side, kept sending messages about how disappointed he was, how I was throwing everything away. But all of it felt distant, like I was hearing them from behind a glass wall. I didn't respond. I didn't need to. But then, a week later, they showed up at my door. All of them. My parents, Ryan, even his fiancée. I was standing in the doorway, taking a deep breath before answering when I saw them standing on my porch. There they were, my family, looking as if they were about to make one last attempt to guilt me into submission. They were all tense, trying to look like they still had control of the situation. "We need to talk," my mom said, the same pleading tone she'd used before. I crossed my arms and stepped back, letting them into the house. But this time, there was no more guilt weighing on my chest. There was only resolve. They had crossed a line with me, and now it was my turn to stand my ground. "Sit down," I said, my voice calm but firm. They all glanced at each other nervously before sitting on the couch, clearly expecting me to cave. But I wasn't the same person anymore. I wasn't the little sister who would just give in because it was easier. I wasn't the daughter who would apologize for wanting something for myself. "I know why you're here," I said, my eyes sweeping over each of them. "And I'm not going to sell it back." Ryan opened his mouth to argue, but I held up my hand. "I've heard all the excuses. It's just a house. You don't need it." "Well, guess what? I do. I needed it for myself, for my own peace of mind. And you all? You never even thought about what I needed. You never even asked." There was a long pause as they exchanged uncomfortable glances. I could see the frustration building in my dad's face, but I didn't care. This wasn't about making them happy. This was about me standing up for myself. "You think this is about the house?" I continued, my voice steady but intense. "This is about years of being overlooked, of being the last to be considered. You thought I'd always just take what you gave me. Well, no more. I've spent my whole life putting you first, making sure you were happy, and I was miserable. I'm done with that." Ryan opened his mouth to say something, but I cut him off. "No, Ryan, I'm not backing down. This isn't about you or mom or dad. This is about me finally taking control of my life." My mom's eyes were welling up with tears, and I could see that it hurt her. But this wasn't about her feelings anymore. This was about me. "Claire, please," she whispered. "We're family. We'll work through this. We always do. Please don't throw this all away." "I'm not throwing anything away," I replied, standing tall. "I'm just not throwing myself away anymore. And I'm not going to let you guilt me into making your problems my responsibility. You've always made me feel like I was the one who was supposed to sacrifice, but I don't owe you that anymore." There was a silence that followed, one that stretched longer than I expected. It was awkward, heavy, and full of unsaid words. My parents, for the first time, didn't know how to react. They'd expected me to crumble, to apologize. But I didn't. Finally, my dad stood up. "I don't understand you, Claire. This isn't you." "No, Dad," I said firmly. "It's the new me." With that, I walked to the door, opened it, and looked back at them one last time. "You can keep calling. You can keep messaging, but I'm not changing my mind. This is my decision, and it's final." Without waiting for a response, I shut the door behind me. And just like that, I was free. The phone calls, the guilt, the pressure, it all faded away. I didn't need to justify my choices anymore. I didn't need their approval to feel valid. I had made my own choice for once, and I was finally at peace. The house wasn't just bricks and mortar. It was my first real step into standing up for myself, and I was never going back. I had taken back control, and it felt incredible.